to go live?
Yeah. Good evening. Please can I welcome everybody to this meeting of the Health and Environment Policy Committee taking place at the Walton Suite, Winchester Guildhall. Time is 6:30. My name is Councillor Brian Laming, Chairperson of this meeting. This meeting is being live streamed and recorded to the Council's YouTube channel. Subtitles are available and advice on how to turn this on is set out on their website. If you're joining us online, please turn your camera and microphone off until your item. And everybody please ensure their mobile phones are on silent. In the unlikely event that it is necessary to evacuate the building, the fire alarm will sound. Please follow all the instructions given to you by our team. And I welcome members of the public to the meeting. I will invite you forward when it's time for you to make your contribution. There are some changes to this meeting's agenda that I need to announce. Due to time constraints, the level of public interest, the following recent events in respect of item 6, water quality, with representatives from Southern Water and Natural Legal in attendance, I confirm that items 8, 9 and 10, namely the air quality update, homes retrofit programme and the silver review, have been deferred for consideration at the next meeting of the Health and Environment Policy Committee on the 4th of July. Thank you. First item of business will be the appointment of the Vice Chairman for the remainder of the municipal year. Could I please have nominations for this? I would like to propose Councillor Westwood. Do I have a second? Thank you, Councillor Cutler. Would you like to come up if there's any
other nominations?
Oh, sorry, any other nominations? No? Thank you. If you'd like to come up, please. They told me that it could be allowed. Item 1 is apologies and deputy members. Claire.
Thank you, Chairman. Apologies for absence received from Councillor Batho with Councillor Cutler deputising. Thank you.
As I said, this is going to be a very busy meeting tonight, so I would prefer if people could refrain from duplicating questions as they come up, just to help everybody along. Can we go on to the minutes of the previous meeting? Are they acceptable? Any corrections?
Agreed.
Thank you.
Please.
Oh, did I miss that? Sorry. Sorry, is there any declarations of interest to be clear on this meeting?
No.
It's the last meeting, we agreed? Yeah, great. Now we come on to public participation. So, first person I'd like to invite up is Georgie Palmer. Thanks. If you'd like to come up. Yeah.
Press that, yeah. Oh, it's definitely working. So obviously addressing Southern Water, good evening. Every month my husband and I have a date, and it's really important that we do that, and it's becoming more and more of a regular thing. I'm going to paint you a little picture of what this date involves. It's not perhaps what you might think. It's not us going out for a beautiful meal or to our local pub, the Bugle. Once a month, my husband and I meet on our front doorstep, and we go a couple of meters off our boundary, rubber gloves on, and we have to clear raw sewage from our drain every single month. And we've got a routine now. I have a bamboo because we know that doesn't snap, other sticks do snap, and the power hose. And for the best part of a year, we have been complaining to Southern Water. I've been in touch with the CEO And eventually now they've agreed that, yes, the point is beyond our boundary and it's being fixed. I'm one household having to do that. We've got raw sewage leaching beneath the foundations of our house and nobody cares. It's been fobbed off so many times. I'm also here tonight to represent not only my community, Twyford, and the disgusting quality of the water, but I represent the open water swimming community. I've been an open water swimmer longer than I can remember. I've swum the channel. And the reason I mention that is not because I want to show off, although I am quite pleased that I did that, but it's more the fact that I've been in some properly filthy, putrid water. And my goodness, I was swimming the channel any day rather than the Itchen. I know that water. I see the bubbles in the water. I see how disgusting it is. Tell me here and now, what are you going to do? I don't want to hear long-term plans. I know that plans that are going to happen in 2027 are now happening in 2063. What is happening in the next 6 months? And please don't fob me off. I'm not only a broadcast journalist, I'm also a media coach, so I know when people are fobbing me off.
So first of all, thank you for coming here. Thank you for your question. I think it's quite a complicated one. I mean, I don't know where you live. I don't know the specifics of the issues that you're facing. But first of all, so I'm, if the experience you are having is a product of our operations, then I'm deeply sorry for that. So please accept, my apologies for that. We do as a society have a problem with CSOs, with combined sewer overflows, and how they spill. So we have a system that is one that's been inherited over time, where there are relief valves, CSOs, on the drainage system that release sewage, albeit dilute material, to the environment when the system becomes overloaded, largely with rainwater and surface water. And those relief valves are to stop people's properties flooding, to stop sewage coming up through toilets and baths and sinks and that sort of thing. So they fulfil a public health role. But we totally get that they are not. They're not what people want. And some people, and it sounds as if you're one, are experiencing the impacts of that system. So what we've been doing is we established nearly 2 years ago now a task force specifically to look at how we eradicate the spilling from CSOs. We will be publishing in the next month a regional plan that will describe how across the southeast we will go about eliminating those spills. We've applied to the economic regulator Ofwat to be allowed to accelerate funding in apologies if this is I'm sure you understand this, but we operate in 5-year economic cycles, accelerate funding into this 5-year cycle to start tackling the problems in the here and now. We know what needs to be done. We need to be separating surface water and runoff from the foul system. Now, some of that will happen through us better optimizing the system that we already have, and we can get on and be doing that now. Some of it will be using nature to slow the flow of surface water into the sewage system, and then finally, in some cases, it will need bigger infrastructure, bigger pipes, bigger treatment, and bigger storage. So that is happening in the here and now. It will be accelerated over the next 2 years with this accelerated funding, and then in the next investment period, which is 2025 to 2030, we will be it'll be sort of mainstreamed and happen all over the region. I suppose the bit that you can take some comfort from is the driver from government is primarily in the short term about protecting sites that have nature conservation. So, you know, the Itchen would be one of those, as would beaches and bathing waters, for example. So those those are places that will get prioritised. So I'm not going to pretend to you that we're going to solve the problem everywhere tomorrow or next month, but we will be solving it over the coming weeks and months, and in some places it will take years.
Thank you. Can you be so kind as to read out James Murray's that you've kindly volunteered? Yeah.
I'm also here this evening representing my friend, the actor James Murray, and this is his question. He's filming tonight. Jim says, anglers are the eyes and the ears of our waterways. Does Southern Water recognise hobbyists such as wild swimmers and anglers in particular as conscientious custodians of the river, just as surfers have become of our coastlines with Surfers Against Sewage? In what ways is Southern Water willing to not only publicly acknowledge this and work with us to turn around the environmental destruction pollution has caused, but give examples of how? For example, eradicating forever chemicals in our waters.
Thank you. So James makes a really powerful point, and we totally get the legitimacy of the views and the important role that anglers, swimmers, canoeists, yachtsmen can play, and the voice that they have. I'll give you a couple of examples of that. So in the last 12 months, we've established called our Independent Climate and Environment Group, but it's an independently chaired group of external stakeholders who challenge and scrutinise us on both our performance and our plans, and the Rivers Trusts are represented on that group. So we do take the voice of anglers and swimmers very seriously. About a month ago, Rena and I were with a landowner on the Itchen, just downstream of Alresford, with Sean Leonard, who's the director of the Wild Trout Trust, and representing, you know, a particular sector of the angling society. Today, I mean, this is not relevant to this geography, but today I've been on the Isle of Wight meeting with swimmers and the yachting community to talk about the specific issues that they're facing and hear the concerns that they have, which are frankly very similar to the concerns that you have and are articulating, and we want to be working with you. We want this to be a partnership, because the solutions to the problems that we face are not ones that, you know, we have a silver bullet that can solve. We have to be working together. It's really important. So you and Jim, through you, make a really important point.
I respond, but I would argue that it's impossible to get hold of Southern Water. I mean, I know people even the last few days who've been on hold for 37 minutes longer. We've been on the phone for hours, and then the phone gets cut off. So whilst I know you're saying you want to work in partnership, I think it's all hot air, really. I don't think there's much sincerity in that.
I'm sorry if people have had difficulty getting in contact with us. I will raise that with our customer service provider. I can make my contact details available. I'm very happy to meet any stakeholders, talk to any stakeholders with a view to making things better. because that's what I'm in the company to do, and I want to work with anyone who shares that objective. And I know that you do, and Jim does as well.
So why does Southern Water? Why did Southern Water employ someone from Thames Water as the CEO when they are also listed as one of the worst water authorities? It just doesn't make sense.
I mean, that's way above my pay grade. I mean, what I would say is that Lawrence, our chief executive, was the chief operating officer in Southern Water before he became chief executive. Yes, he did work in Thames Water, but actually started his career in Southern Water. So he's got a long history of commitment to the southeast.
Oops, thank you. Yes, you've been very kind to offer to, strong-armed into reading Mark Smith's answer to this evening, the chairman of Osborne Parish Council. Thank you.
So this, yes, Mark Smith, the chair of Osborne Parish Council. Sorry, he's written a lot here. He wants to talk about Southern Water's performance and the importance of questioning why there is a regular sewage flow into the River Itchen at Kiln Lane, Brambridge, that seems to have been overtaken by the second major water outages in the parish and surrounding areas since December 22. The main residents' contact with the parish over the outages centred around vulnerability and what appears to be a failure by sorry, he's written it in a weird way, their failure to address customers' needs and their vulnerability. Osborne Parish Council needs to understand what happened on these occasions in order to be prepared for further water outages. And he's got a few questions here that he would like a response to. I understand they might be responded to after this. Number one, what is the scope of Southern Water's obligation, including legal time frame, for providing bottled waters to its customers and separately its vulnerable customers when there is no mains water? Number two, how does Southern Water's contingency plan perform on this occasion and in December 22? Number three, in what ways can customers register as vulnerable? Because many don't have internet access. And how is a vulnerability register managed? Number four, what percentage of vulnerable customers were delivered water within 8 hours of water loss? Number five, why did these supplies to the vulnerable customers fail? Number six, what recommendations and good working practices for improving Southern Water's performance regarding vulnerability have been identified and will be implemented? Number seven, last year we suffered a drought in the south in the summer with a hosepipe ban announced by Southern Water on the August the 5th, 22. What is Southern Water planning to do now we are already into a serious winter drought with little rain over the past few weeks and continuing dry conditions forecast? There is a need to warn the general public, get demand reduced and reduce the pumping of the aquifers. And number eight, which is the final question, how will Southern Water put a positive spin on the planned pipe construction from Havant to Otterbourne at a cost of hundreds of millions of pounds to its customers, yet fail to upgrade the known old infrastructure first? Very good questions.
Thank you very much.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's a huge amount in there. I mean, with your permission, Chair, can we sort of, because a lot of that is set out in statute.
Yeah.
So can we, provide a written?
I was going to ask you, could you reply
response
to that in writing to the chairman?
Yes, yeah, but there are a couple of things I would like to say. So first of all, to everyone who was impacted by the outages, both just before Christmas and 10 days or so ago, say a huge apology. That is not the standard of service that we expect to give to our customers. There are different reasons for the two incidents. We will actually very shortly be publishing a review of why those incidents occurred and what the learning is from those incidents. we have a statutory responsibility to pay compensation. We will be doubling that payment in recognition of the shortcomings in our service with those two incidents happening in such quick succession. And we will also be making a £50,000 donation to five food banks in the area to also try and make some difference. The point you make about drought and the levels in the rivers and groundwaters is one that is very well made. So we were in a really significant drought last summer and into the autumn. Then October, November, and December, we saw well over 200% of annual rainfall in all three of those months, which has caused the groundwater levels to rise very, very significantly, which is one reason why there are some communities in this geography who are experiencing flooding from very high groundwater levels. Now we are at the moment experiencing quite a dry period. The Environment Agency monitor and report on river, reservoir, groundwater levels all around the country. We monitor those levels in our assets as well. As things stand at the moment, at a similar time last year, we are in a much more resilient position this year than we were last year. Now, that's not to be in any way complacent, but it is to demonstrate that we are, really seized of that challenge, monitoring it very, very closely, and ready to take, the appropriate action if it's needed.
Thank you very much. Appreciate all your help tonight. Thank you. Councillor Cook, please.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you to fellow councillors for allowing me to speak to this today. So when you go onto the Southern Water website, it comes up with many headings: our resources, our environment, our region, protecting the environment. We're committed to providing greater transparency about our environmental performance. We are focused on preventing any of the water, wastewater or chemicals we handle from posing a risk to nature or wildlife. What about humans? We are committed to making a positive impact for the good of our customers and communities. And for those of you that are in the room today and maybe listening online, I wouldn't be so sure you feel the same. That perhaps is much of maybe Southern Water need to perhaps be thinking about looking after their shareholders or the salaries of their CEO and their bonuses. Southern Water provide essential services to 2.6 million water customers and 4.7 million wastewater customers across the region. You talk about being more resilient as an organisation. Strategy being brilliant at the basics, 2020 to 2025, looking at the bigger picture. Asset maintenance. Now, more than ever before, you need to make sure that the infrastructure you install is sustainable, materials and source. What is paramount is that your routine maintenance is lacking of the current network that carries out. And if there are any problems and they're reported, you need to get to that pipework, because some of your pipework, so I'm led to believe, goes back to the Victorian times, with all the additional building that's taking place and the increase of traffic where many of the pipes are under or at the side of these see increasing traffic. With the additional use of water, sadly, the system that fails, as we experienced in my ward, which I share with Councillor Bronk, Colden Common. Last summer, 4 homes were evacuated and families and couples were moved out of their homes and they returned at Christmas, which is so wrong. It was catastrophic for these families. The main road closed throughout Colden Common for over a month. In fact, Francis Copse wasn't even on Southern Water's drain system. but it is now. In December 22, we then had the problem with the freeze thaw and the thousands of homes that were without water and the setting up of the water stations. I could spend the next 10 minutes talking about that, but I won't. I'll just say Park and Ride South, it was carnage. And then I went there in the afternoon and actually took part delivering some of the water. They opened up the 2 lanes and it worked so much better. Then only 2 weeks ago, we had another situation, initially low pressure. At 17:29, we were informed by Southern Water there was going to be a problem. At 17:58, Winchester then told us there was going to be a problem. And we may not have water until the weekend. It took until the following morning to set up another water station at the south, at the Aegeus Bowl. Then there was another one set up, I believe, at Fleming Park. We in Twyford got our 2 pallets the day after at 3 o'clock in the afternoon with many phone calls and emails. This shouldn't have taken this period of time. And in fact, I even delivered water to Hursley on the Sunday morning, okay, because they hadn't had any water in certain parts of Hursley. Then, of course, we can't forget Saturday, the 14th of January in Kiln Lane. We've heard about that already, I know, but that has been an ongoing situation. And at the moment, Southern Water are due to return. It took until the following morning at 4 o'clock in the morning for MTS to turn up, which are the contractors of Southern Water, to deal with the issue, despite highways and the police not wanting to close the road. I have many notes here, but I think, to be fair, from what I saw going into the River Itchen was not clean water. Many photographs and videos were taken. Much has been put in the press. And there is currently ongoing work in Kiln Lane where you've got 900 metres plus of pipe work. And I think to end this, I will just say one thing to you. Love my butt. And what I mean by that, I have been firmly told that having a water butt in your home really does help things. So what I might suggest to Southern Water, if I may, with the few seconds I've got left, you know, a water butt doesn't just water plants. You can wash your car, you can clean your patio, and you can even fill up your toilet cistern when Southern Water doesn't seem to want to deliver water to us. So perhaps some of the shareholders would like to not take some of their money and perhaps give water butts to everybody. Thank you, Chair, for allowing me to speak.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I just sort of answer a couple of specific points in there, if I may. So your point about water butts is absolutely spot on. So in answer to one of the previous questions about reducing the impact of CSOs, I referred to the Pathfinder work that we're doing. And one of the interventions that we've been trialling has been the use of water butts, both sort of normal ones, but also smart ones that empty themselves when rain is forecast. And part of our regional plan will actually be the widespread. I'm not sure if deployment's the right word, but provision of water butts. So you're absolutely right. It is a really good intervention. Which brings me on to the second point, which is the solution to many of these problems is a two-pronged approach. So it's trying to stop rainwater and surface water getting into the foul system in the first place. So it's diverting, it's increasing infiltration into the ground, it's using nature to take that water away. But the other is, once it's going to get into the system, is slowing the flow into the system so that you're flattening any peak going through the system, so that our network and our treatment works have the time and the capacity to treat that material. And water butts are a really effective way at flattening that peak. On your point about shareholders and dividends, I hear what you're saying, but we haven't paid a dividend to shareholders in 7 years. Now, all the operating profit that we have made, which is largely about running